Hello, everybody. I'm gonna give people maybe about 2 or 3 more minutes before I start. All right, so uh, to go on Facebook and give my opinion about what's happened, what has transpired the last couple of days. And basically, I probably wouldn't have done this if I wouldn't have seen something on Facebook and I felt I had to respond. So I have been motivated or touched by the words of Doc Rivers and Troy Vincent. If you haven't heard uh, the words from Doc Rivers and Troy Vincent, you should really listen to them. And then I heard later on this evening, I listened to the words of Chris Webber and how he discussed about being a black man. Vince Carter said some powerful stuff today. But we are at an inflection point regarding race in America. So I just want to discuss some things, maybe help some people that I know. But this is really for white folks because for the last 4 or 5 years, whenever I speak, I've been called a racist, or I get asked a question, "Why do you talk about race so much?" Well, it's what I do. It's what I study. It's what I teach. It's about me learning more and more about this country and about why we are in the situation that we're in today, especially regarding education. I just want to let me know tonight. I'm just going to talk about black males, but it's not that Sandra Bland and Breonna Taylor have been killed. There's also been violence against black girls in our schools. So I'm not discarding or disrespecting the troubles and the plights of black girls because they have it too. But what I want to focus on is since we've been here in this country, uh, black males have been seen for their value has been seen for their bodies, not for their intellect. It has never been to a point where black people in general or black males really have been seen as somebody that they should be looked upon as for their intellect. If you look at from slavery, it was about the black male body. If you look at today, uh, it's about what we can do on the football field or the basketball court, on the playing field. It's not about what we can do in the classroom or what we can do in the boardroom. And that is a problem. Uh, when you see black folks, especially black males, only for their physical looks or the value, you don't give them an opportunity to get better, for them to be seen as something other than a body, for them to be seen as somebody that, for so many people, black boys, black males are not seen as human beings. In fact, as early as age 8 and 9, black boys are seen as men and they're seen as threats by their teachers. Part of the problem that we have in America today is that black boys, black men are seen in a way that they should not have been seen. When you go to the store, you're followed around. Uh, when you approach white women, the clutch of the purse, or the moving to the other side of the street. is that we are something to be feared, and that we are threatening to them, and we're not. Not all black men, black boys, or somebody should be feel threatened by it. But this has to change. And one of the things that I do as a teacher, because I teach future teachers, is I try to explain to my students is that you cannot have these type of attitudes inside the classroom because it has an impact. It impacts everything that we do. Because think about it. The future police officers that we have, they came from a classroom. Somebody was their teacher. And if our teachers have the implicit and explicit biases against black bodies and black boys, that is going to rub off on their students who one day become police officers. We have a problem in this country and how we look at black people, specifically black males. One of the things that I talk to many people about is how can we change the outlook that white folks have on black people? And one of the answers came about is that if we teach everybody in this country about black history. I know when I went to school, it was never brought up, but black history is American history. If we teach what black folks have done in this country, people will understand that we are not a threat, that we have more to offer than what our bodies can do. I'm sure that people are not aware of all the discrimination that has come to blacks. For instance, after World War II, black GIs were denied VA benefits. But the white GIs were allowed to use those VA benefits. They were able to buy homes. They were able to go to school. And that changed their families' lives. It changed the family tree. But black and brown folks were denied these benefits. Same thing as it goes for housing. Black people have been denied the ability to get a house after World War II. A lot of the wealth that we have in our homes, in our families, is from home ownership that has been passed down through the families. People have to be aware of the history. I definitely recommend people read The Color of Law, and it explains how the U.S. government purposely helped white people get homes, and yet it denied black people to get their homes. Even when the country was hurting during the Depression, the New Deal wasn't for all. Blacks were denied many opportunities during the New Deal. So a lot of the benefits that have helped white families have been denied to black folks. There is a reason, there is a good reason for the disparity between black net worth and white net worth. White folks have had an advantage since they've gotten here, and black folks have had to fight for everything. Today, as we look at what's going on in Kenosha, Wisconsin, it is something that, as a black man, it is disgusting. I think about it. I mean, I know you all know about this. Dylan Roof goes to church in South Carolina, shoots those 9 parishioners. They were even worshiping with him. The cops pick him up. They take him to Burger King, get him a burger. But a black man who sometimes is going away from somebody, from a cop, or right next to a cop, or as for Tamir Rice, who had a fake gun, gets killed. And what I was trying to, and one of the reasons why that I'm here today is because a buddy of mine said something on Facebook about how the NBA ratings are down, and like he was happy that the NBA ratings were down, and it's almost as if black men have no voice, that they should just go out and play the game and they shouldn't have any feelings. Well, no, this has an impact on them because they have sons too. They have uncles, fathers. This is more than about basketball. It's about 400 years of oppression. It's about, as Dr. King says, how can you tell a bootless man to pull himself up by the bootstraps? How can you do that? How can you tell black people to pull themselves up by the bootstraps and they have no boots? It's just like after black people were freed in 1863. What did white people give them? They gave them nothing. But they expected those free slaves to live just like them. And if you think about it, what has white America done for black people to today? There's been no responsibility, no accountability for things that have happened in the past. Those things that happened in the past still have an impact today. In 1863, black people were given the Emancipation Proclamation. They were freed by Lincoln. It took another 18 months before it got here in Texas that black people were freed. You have the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments, but those were not codified until the 64 and 65 Civil Rights and Voting Rights Act. So think about it. They haven't only been free for only 50-something years. But still today, we are discriminated against. If you look at our education system does not educate black boys. Black boys are disproportionately suspended and expelled more than anybody else. They're disproportionately labeled special ed. And they don't graduate from high school. That is a problem. And the reason why they don't graduate from high school, the reason why they're disproportionately expelled and suspended, is because of the implicit and explicit biases and discrimination, structural and institutional racism that's in our school systems. How do you expect anybody to get ahead if you don't educate them? This past school year, 6-year-olds were getting arrested. How do you arrest a 6-year-old? If you, as a teacher, cannot control a 6-year-old child, you do not need to be a teacher. If you, as an administrator, can't control a 6-year-old child, you do not need to be an administrator. Blacks make up 18% of the kindergartners, but yet they make up 48% of all suspension and expulsions. What is that? Are people trying to say black kids are inherently bad? Because they are not. It's because white people don't know black people. They think they know black people from what they see on TV or the movies, but the media does not portray black people in a positive light. How many depictions do you see of black people in a positive light on TV shows or on the 6 o'clock news? Most of the time, you see black folks on the news. There's a murder or they've been arrested for something. It is impossible. It is impossible for black people, especially black boys, to get ahead if all they're seen as something negative. And here's the thing. Black people, they don't want to be given anything. They just want to have the same chance and same opportunity as white folks. That does not happen in America. I've been to every school that I've gone to, postgraduate, since high school, after high school, have been PWIs. Very few, I see very few black students on campuses. And yet, at most of these universities that I've attended, I've heard white students, I've read what white students said in the university newspaper, that there are too many blacks on campus. As if black folks have been given an advantage. And there are hardly any on campus. I think about this. As a black man with a grandson, with a black son-in-law, with black male cousins. My mentor is black male, Dr. Dwight Watson, who's taught me a lot about what is really going on in policing. What police forces are doing is what they've been trained to do since police forces came into existence. Do I expect any of these past shootings for any of these police officers to be convicted? No, I do not. I do not expect any of them to be convicted. They may be put on trial, but they will, for the most part, be set free. What policemen need to understand, and this is a concern for me because I have family members who are police officers. I have associates who I know who work in law enforcement. And I have former students now who are police officers. Is that you cannot see black men, black boys, as something less than or someone who needs to be controlled. It's unacceptable. It will not help the situation. It will only harm and make the situation worse. But it has to stop. It has to change. I don't know anything about police, but what I don't understand is why the good cops let the bad cops make their jobs harder and make our lives harder. And then I look and I remember what Doc Rivers said. We have a president who's so in fear that black folks are going to come to the suburbs and do something to white folks. We cannot have that. It is un-American for any politician to use race, but it's been done so many times to scare white folks. This is why we have the problems that we do, because we have politicians trying to scare white folks by using black bodies as a reason to be afraid. When I heard Vince Carter today say that he takes his phone and his driver's license to pick up his mail. And I thought I was the only one who did that. I do not go to my mailbox, nor do I walk around the neighborhood without my driver's license on me or my cell phone. A cop will come by and ask me what am I, if I live here. Just like what happened to my son when he was on his way home from football practice in high school, and he's in a car full of white kids, and they get pulled over, and the cop only asks him where he lives. And when my son said that he lived there, the cop said he didn't live there. It was as if no black people can live in a gated community. We have a problem in this country. I know there are many people who believe that this is not a racist country. Like Nikki Haley said the other day, this is a racist country. This country was built off of racism. Too many people in power and too many average Americans believe that this country is not racist and that we all have the same opportunities, which we do not. It is time. It is time. As John Lewis would say, it's time for people to get in some good trouble. I said the other day, it's exhausting to be black in America. And as I used to tell some of my friends, I said, man, I used to tell them the hardest job in America was to be a black man. It is one of the hardest things that we have to do because black men are always on. We have to make sure that we're not too threatening to society so that society will treat us with some semblance of respect. But the use of fear of the black man has got to stop. I've had several people ask me, why do I talk about race so much? Everything I do in life is colored by my skin color. How I'm approached by people, how people approach me, what people expect of me. Or as I'm standing in front of a classroom and I see my students walk in the classroom and their eyes bug out because they have a black professor. Many of my students say that I'm the only black teacher they've ever had. America needs to come to grips with what the problem we have today. I actually thought after George Floyd that it was really a time that we would change. But I have no hope for that now. I think America is ready for a change because the same thing keeps happening. Black men still get shot. I still get told to quit talking about race, that it's not about race. Quit instilling fear. I'm just being honest. I'm just keeping it real. And then you get the white conservatives on who you know, or on Facebook, they always bring up Chicago. I don't know what the answer is for Chicago, but if you always want to bring up Chicago, get in your car, drive to Chicago, go to the mayor, go to the neighborhoods, and hey, tell them, hey, I'm here to help. What do I need to do? What can I do to help make Chicago better? But they really don't care about Chicago. They just want to use Chicago as a ploy, as a cudgel to hold over against black people. You see how they are? There is a reason that the situations are going on in Chicago. There's a reason why the situations that's violence, the violence that's going on in American cities. This is not by accident. So as I say this, as I close out for tonight, if you really want to make a change, if you really want to make a change, at least admit that the country is racist. Do something about the racism that is going on in the country. Get educated about what's going on in the country. It is just amazing when black people have gotten opportunities and tried to do things on their own, as in Tulsa and in Wilmington, North Carolina, they were burnt out by white folks. As black people, just give us the same opportunity that white folks are given. Teach our children. Don't discriminate against our children. Because education is the key. If you allow our kids to get educated and not incarcerate them, then you will see a better America. But for me as a black man, my struggle will continue. I will continue to speak out against racism and racists. I will call it like I see it. I will not let anybody tell me to stop talking about race or write about race. Because until we are all free, no one is free. Good night.